Tonight's subject is love endures. I made you a promise when I started. Everything I tell you on this platform, I know from experience. I am not theorizing. When we are told, he who does not love does not know God, for God is love. The Apostle John was not speculating. This is not a conclusion that he reached after years of philosophic contemplation. This was an act of God in self-revelation. If God had never revealed himself as infinite love to man, I doubt that man could ever, with all the philosophy of the world, ever come to the conclusion that God is love. God is love. In spite of all the horror of the world, I tell you truth. I know that from experience. For another apostle tells us that though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels and have not love, I am a sounding brass or tinkling cymbal. Then he takes all the gifts of God and compares them to love. If love is not present, I am as nothing. I may have all the wisdom of the world, all the power of the world, everything in the world. If I have not love, it is as nothing. There is no gift of the Spirit comparable to love. And in the end, love is the only thing that really will abide forever. Faith will be realized. Hope will be realized. These are attributes of God. But God is love. It's not an attribute of God. God is love. When you stand in the presence of the risen Christ, you have no other emotion in the world, no other vision. It's simply love. God is love. And when love embraces you, it's only love. And you wear the body, which is the body of the risen Christ, and it's only love. So everything else will pass away, but love will endure forever. So he who does not love does not know, for God is love. And tonight I will tell you certain things that seem incredible. They're all scripture. And all of these, may I tell you, are true. We are told, let us be persistent in the race. As we run it, let us be persistent in this race, looking to Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy that was to be realized by him, endured the cross, despising the shame, embraced the cross, despising the shame. I know that to be true. When he nailed himself upon this, I know that to be true. And despised the shame through which you would have to go as the speaker. When he did it on you, he embraced it willingly with a joy and despised the shame which he knew he would have to go through. And that was love. So tonight the things that I will tell you, all from Scripture, you wonder, how can anyone? Here is one. He who drinks my blood has eternal life, and I will raise him up at the last day. Well, I have a very large selection of Bibles at home, and commentaries, and of many scholarly works, big treatises on all kinds of the 66 books. I haven't read one where the congrats is me. I cannot believe it could be taken literally. But may I tell you, these statements are expected to be taken literally and fulfilled literally. I drink the blood of God. He who drinks my blood has eternal life. I will raise him up at the last day. It doesn't make sense, does it? And that's why Myers, in that lovely poem, which he called St. Paul, or could I tell? He surely would believe it. Or could I only say what I see? How can I tell? Or how can you believe it? How? Until he bringeth you where I have been. Until you see this temple split in two, and the liquid golden light at the base of the spine. And as though you put a sponge upon it, and every drop is absorbed. You look upon it, and the word drink, or to eat the flesh, or drink the blood, is defined in the concordance as to do it with enjoyment. It's the most repulsive thought in the world if you take it on a certain level. May I tell you, the concordance is right. When you look at it, there's nothing but joy in your being because you say within yourself, I know it is myself. O my divine Creator and Redeemer. And then coming closer, you fuse with it, absorbing it every little drop like a sponge, and then up like a spiral of light into heaven. I will raise you after you have taken my blood. He who drinks my blood, I will raise him up at the last day. And the last day is not someday in the remote future. It comes every moment of time to the individual. This thing has happened, but it is still, in a sense, happening. Look to him, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy that was to be, I was realized by it, embraced the cross, endured the cross, and despised the shame. Everyone will simply have that experience, and when you drink it, it's sheer enjoyment. You don't absorb it with the tongue. I don't put it in my mouth and drink it. I look at it, and I know with the infinite joy it's my very being, my Creator and my Redeemer, and I fuse with it and absorb it as a dry sponge would that pool of golden liquid light. And then he tells you, I will raise you up after you have drunk my blood. And I will raise you up at the last day. And up you go right into heaven. So how to tell it? If one can only tell it. I know there are those who will believe. But how to tell it? If one could be seen. Here in New York City this past summer, I always call on my friend who has run this wonderful bookstore over the years. In fact, most of my library I bought. She was only interested in money. I was going to sell my book because she made a dollar. She had no interest whatsoever in anything I wrote in the books. She had only a hazardous diet of metaphysical books. She didn't know the contents of one of them, but she knew where every one was and the price of it. And if she knew your interests and you started in a certain direction, diverted for a moment while she'll take that book out, rub out the price, and put another price in. I never corrected her. I caught her doing it with me. She always did it to my wife when my wife went in looking for certain books for me. She knew she would never question the price if she had the book. And she would do it. So I would go in and she would say, "Oh, Neville, you certainly do dream, don't you?" I said, "Mary, these are not dreams. These are visions paralleling Scripture of Neville." Then she turned to something else. If I would talk politics, which I didn't. If I would talk money with her, which I didn't. Then she would have all ears. But when I began to tell her of a vision, of an experience of mine, Mary had no time for it at all. And this goes back into the 20s. So this year, as is my custom, I thought I'd go and call her Mary. And I said to a friend of mine at the meeting one night, "I haven't had time as yet to go and see Mary. I think I'll go tomorrow." She said, "Haven't you heard?" I said, "No." But Mary was killed that month. Killed instantly. And there's no more metaphysical library. It used to be called the Gateway. She and her husband had no children, were married for 40-odd years, and they went their separate ways. They made lots of money. Mary ran the bookstore, and he lived in the home in the country in Bucks County. There's so many artists and writers live in Pennsylvania. So they would call each other if someone needed something. If she needed someone to go hunting for certain books, she'd call Bill, and Bill would take the training or riding and do whatever Mary needed. And she'd occasionally go out to the house. So they never had any feeling that she should call and really inquire. No reason for it, so they thought. So many days went by, and he called. He wanted some help, and there was no response. He called all through the day, both the shop and her home in the village on 18th Street, and there was no response. So he came on in, went to the home first, with all the uncollected mail. Neighbor said, "We haven't seen Mary in 5 days." He went to the shop, right off Madison Avenue on 60th, and here, uncollected mail, and they hadn't seen Mary in 5 days. It appears that Mary, 5 days before, needed something from the grocery store, and it was late. It was just at the end of the block. So she went out with a little change purse and no identification mark. Nothing on her, but her little change purse. Stepped off the curb, and the truck moving at tremendous speed, she was gone instantly. So Bill went down to the police department and inquired about this missing wife of his. And they said, "Have you tried them all?" He said, "I'm not talking about a dead wife. I'm telling you, my wife is missing. She has been missing for 5 days." The cop said to her, after all these things happen all day in New York City, "You just described a woman just like your wife, and she's at the mall. Why don't you go and look?" So Bill goes to the mall, and there's Mary, untrained for 5 days. Not one moment could I arrest her attention as I have yours now. Mary made a considerable sum of money out of me. That's all she wanted. And I would have given her any day that I visited, I would say 4 or 5 days a week. I'd go and browse in her library. The most wonderful metaphysical library. I think that and one in Long Beach are the 2 outstanding libraries in this country that I know. The one called Acres of Books in Long Beach. Well, these are the 2 fantastic libraries. Mary made this quick departure from this level unprepared, not knowing one word of the great mystery of life. And she had every opportunity over the years to hear from one who had experienced Scripture. And Mary wouldn't take it at all. We are told at the very end of his days, Paul turned to Mary, and he spent it from morning to night, trying to persuade all who would listen to it about Jesus, and using as his argument the laws of Moses and the prophets and the Psalms. And many were convinced by what he said, while others disbelieved. Well, Mary didn't even give me the chance to disbelieve. Simply heard all sheer facts all the time. And I tell you, every precept in that book called the Bible is literally true and will one day be experienced by you and fulfilled by you literally, even to the drinking of the blood. And it's not blood that I will cut thy veins. When you see it, you know it's the only living reality in the world. It's that which made you alive while you walked this earth. It was the blood of God. And because God became, I may become God. When I was serving you, there was the blood that gave me life. And on that blood, I knew it was myself. For in the blood there is life. Life is in the blood. Golden, liquid, living life. And you saw, you become one with it. And then as you're told, then I will raise you up after you drink my blood. And all the scholars can get out of this statement is, if I will only read his words and assimilate them and begin to understand them, well then I am eating his flesh and drinking his blood. You will do it literally. I'm not saying you should not understand them. And that is the lowest aspect of what is intended. That is intended to be taken literally and experienced it. He that drinks my blood has life eternal. Now he said, because I live, you will live also. See the difference in tense? He is completed. Because I live, that's present, you will live also. He's telling everyone that he addresses. And this is in the 14th of John. That though you seem to be alive, you're really not. Not yet, not until you drink my life. But I have animated you, for I have put my blood within you. Unless I die, thou canst not live. But if I die, I shall arise again, and thou with me. So he dies by crucifying himself on me, on you, on everyone. So his blood is in me. I did not drink it until 17:2. And then at 17:2, I absorbed it. Absorbing it was complete drinking of every drop of blood. And then on the heels of it, you were sent like a serpent, but that's a bolt of spiral life. Just as you are told in Scripture. So here I tell you, love endures. It was love. You take the word Jesus in Scripture, it means God. It means Jehovah. And it means love, for that is the nature of God. That's the ultimate reality. So if you read it, you say love. If the word Jesus offends you, say love. And love said so and so and so. That's all right. And Jesus said so and so, say love. Same thing. Jesus is love. Infinite love. Now here, I asked you for your cases. I want to thank you for the 6 that have come so far. I will use them as the evening permits. One I will use tonight. And the lady gave it to me. She said it happened to her on the night of the 4th of September this month. She said, as I fell asleep and my body lay asleep on the bed, I found myself looking for something. I didn't know what it was that I should find. But there I am, looking for something. I had to find something. But what it was, I didn't know. Until in my hand appeared, my left hand, 3 coins. And I said, not to anyone, just speaking aloud in the dream, should they not be 30 pieces of silver? And the voice answered and said, no. You have the 3 precious ones. And then, as the voice spoke, the three were taken out of my head towards the right, one by one, each seven. And as the hand took the first one out, the voice said, "This is faith." Took the second one out, said, "This is hope." Took the last one out, said, "This is love." And then I awoke. There is the fulfillment of the 13 of Corinthians, verse 3. Faith, hope, and love, these three abide, but the greatest is love. Faith will one day be translated into vision, therefore fulfill itself. And hope will be completely realized in the state. But love endures forever. It's something that's basic. You can't analyze it. It's something that is altogether God. There's only God, and God is love. So she held the three coins, the three precious ones in her hand. And she thought in terms of a 30 pieces of silver. And the boy said, "No, you have the three precious ones." And then came, and the voice, as she relinquished, she didn't have any choice in the matter, he just took one after the other. And the voice began to speak. So whenever vision breaks out into speech, the presence of deity is affirmed. As told us in the 3rd chapter of Exodus and the 6th of Isaiah, when it breaks out into speech, when you're in the presence of vision and speech takes place, then the presence of deity is affirmed. So I say, every word of Scripture, you one day will experience. I have experienced Scripture. I have experienced it, and now night after night, all the lovely things that come afterwards. Like the 23rd Psalm. Who would have thought you took that little? The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. You maketh me to lie down in green pastures. Would you believe that isn't very true for a man to experience? For the last few years in New York City, we were warned not to walk through the park, Central Park. There were muggings day and night. They said you took your life in your hands and you entered the park. Professors from Columbia were murdered. Bing, the head of the Metropolitan Opera, he was mugged and stripped with all of his money gone, right at the very beginning on 59th Street as you enter. And this is where the lights are on, only at 10 at night. But I felt, regardless of all these rumors, I must go through the park. And so I go my daily walk, I started through the park. And I can't tell you how green the grass was. That luscious, luscious green. And it was so thick. And for years, New York has suffered from the lack of rain. And there wouldn't be water in the restaurants. You had asked for it. And they had little signs in the hotels, "Please do not keep the water running. Only use it when you have it." And they asked all kinds of very pertinent things about, "Don't touch the toilet unless you have it." And all these things to save water. It was down to almost 50% of capacity. Well, in the last year, for some wonderful reason, the rains came, and the grass was so green. I can tell you I feel as I walked through the park and remarked to myself how green the grass is. The following night, this was my experience. I saw my earthly father. He looked about 50 years old. He died when he was 85 in the year 59. But he looked about 50 and radiant and rose. And I was lying on the grass, right? On this wonderful stretch of green, luscious grass. And I said to him, I said, "Isn't this strange? Only yesterday, I had a dream. I had a dream that I saw this grass. and remarked to myself how green it was, how altogether comforted and wonderful it was. And now, here, it is an objective reality. It's a fact. Last night in my dream it was subjective, and now here it is objective. And he looked at me and smiled. What is objectivity and what is subjectivity? Is it not wholly determined by the level on which consciousness is focused? I am telling him in a dream that this is the reality. And what I experienced only yesterday was a dream. And I told him how I dreamed it. And when I walked back here, I realized from this level what I told him was the dream. And what I told him was the dream was really the fact. Which was the fact? And which was the reality? Now, who is my Father? We are told in Scripture, the whole vast world is seeking the Father. And Christ tells us, I am the Father. He who sees me has seen the Father. The whole vast world is seeking Christ. They're seeking the authority that is imaged as your earthly Father. That seat of authority. That seat of power that you can trust, that you can respect, that power to which you can submit yourself, even if it does, and it does sometimes, chase you. And you know it's afflicted, but still you will submit to it, you can trust it. And what is it? It's the Father in our very self that we are seeking. That same Father that the Christ of the Gospels claimed himself to be. So when I met my Father, I was only seeing the authority that I had found. He was the image, the symbol of that authority that I loved. I always trusted him. I would always submit myself. He was always generous and kind. And here I am, stretched out on the rest, in complete fulfillment of the 23rd Psalm. You maketh me to lie down and eat that truth, the Lord. For we're told in Scripture, Christ is the Lord. And he calls himself the Father. Here's my Father. And I'm lying down, not standing on it, I'm lying down and eating that. And it's so green and so luscious. And night after night, the entire book unfolds as experiences. After the four major ones take place. Well, they're taking place. That's all behind me now. So I'm sharing with you, and to repeat it, how can I tell? That anyone, I wouldn't say anyone, but majority, we see. How until he brings them where I have been. He takes them to that same level, and then they will know. And they will know all these precepts are to be taken literally and fulfilled literally. So I tell you, God, who is love, endures. Everything is going to pass away. It will simply wither like the grass and simply vanish from the earth. And the earth itself. God, by then you are completely incorporated to the one being who is God. There is nothing but God. And God is all God. Everything else is an attribute of God. Faith will be fulfilled. Hope fulfilled. All the attributes fulfilled. But God, without, endures forever. It's easy, man. So here this wonderful story of the three coins. I can't tell you my thrill when someone who comes here would have a beat of that nature and would share it with you. Very sweetly wrote it out in a typewritten form and gave it. And others I have 5 others, and they're perfectly marvelous. And when I come that they're fit, I shall share it with you. And so again, I'm going to make an appeal. Do share your experiences with me. They encourage everyone. This sweet lady who wrote it, her message has gone out tonight to everyone who was there. And you will know that you too will have a similar experience. I know that these three qualities, virtues, they abide. And the greatest of these came last. And the best is first. And the first is last. Last was none. Comes out on hand last. And these you have the three precious ones. Not the 30 pieces of silver, the price of him who could gore man by what he said. Well, that's the price you pay owner of the ox. If the ox gored a slave, you pay the owner of the slave, not the slave. You pay the owner of the slave 30 pieces of silver if you had the ox. And the ox is a symbol of Christ. And Christ comes to gore man. He simply goes him into, like that ox, say, called the lump of a light in Scripture. An ox goad. And it goads you in you're moving on to higher and higher levels of awareness. So when he comes, he doesn't bring peace. He brings the sword, he brings the ox goad. And so when the ox goads someone, one injured, or then 30 pieces of silver will be given to the owner of that slave. And so he wonders, are there not 30 pieces of silver? And the voice answered, no. 3. And you have the 3 precious ones. These are the 3. When you stand in the presence of the risen Christ, the only question asked is to name the greatest thing in the world. And you do name the 3. And you also go on to say, but the greatest of the 3 is love. And that's when love embraces you and you become one with love. And forever, you are one with the body of life. And there's no divorce. What God has now joined together, you and God are one. No man or organization of men can put asunder. You're one with the body of God. And forever, you are that one. So when you read this prayer in the not distant future, after that experience, you're awakened as the very being the whole vast world talks about. While you experience it and remain covered in flesh, or the Godhead on this level is simply veiled in flesh. While veiled in flesh, no one sees the body really well. And so they have to simply guess at the reality behind what you say. How can I bring God's heart? How can God have that? For God is spirit. How can I eat his body? How can I lie down on green pastures? And lie down on green pastures tells me I am protected forever. It's the story of God's protection of his anointed one, his elect. So you're told he actually allows me to lie down on green pastures. For what? Tells me the very beginning. All because from now on, no concern about where it comes from. No concern about anything in the future. Just, I will let you lie on green pastures. An abundance of joys from now on. Just for the taking. And then you go on to the people. If I were hungry, I would not take. For the world is mine. And all with it. The cattle on 1,000 hills are mine. And so when I hunger, I will slay and eat. Why tell anyone of my hunger if the world is mine? For you have an inheritance that is pure, that is unspoiled, unfading, when these things begin to happen with you. And the minute you drink the blood, your race, and the whole story begins on the resurrection. There will be no Christianity without resurrection. And resurrection without crucifixion is sheer nonsense. How can there be a resurrection without death? For God dies. And that's his love. For you, it's love for me. Lest I die, thou canst not live. For if I die, I shall arise again, and thou with me, not as two, as one, yet without loss of identity of the one who I raise. No change of identity, no change to that wonderful specific individuality. The same self, yet now including a far greater self than before, who is none other than God the Lord, Jesus Christ. To include him and yet remain the being that I am, yes. Without change of identity, you encompass this infinite presence who is Jesus Christ, and you are he, without change of identity. But that's the mystery. And the aim, only Jesus, nothing but Jesus, and you are he. So I tell you, love endures forever. As told us in the 13th chapter of Corinthians. Everything will pass, but love endures all. Someone defined the three virtues: faith, hope, and love. Faith as believing what is incredible. Hope is hoping when all things are hopeless. And love is forgiving what is unforgivable. That's love. But everything that you've ever done is forgiven. But if I had to expiate my past, as the world teaches, one must, I could never be exonerated, not in eternity. But in that embrace of love, though my sins were there at that moment like scarlet, they were at that very moment made white as snow. And there was complete divine acquittal of all that I had ever done. And I did everything that man could ever do. I had everything that man was capable of doing, I did up to that moment. And he embraced me and exonerated me. When I was divine, and my sins that were then like scarlet became white as snow. No one can really, he says, save himself. We are saved by the grace of God. It's not your own doing, so there's no way to boast. Grace of God. Now tonight, take this, we're called upon to imitate God as their children. Now tonight, here is how I would imitate you, or I do. It's told us in the first epistle of John, 4th chapter. We love because he first loved us. Because implies causation. Our love is response, only response. The cause is God loved me first. Now that apostolic we must now become a personal I. I love because God first loved me. Now imitate God as a dear child, as I'm told in Ephesians. Start to love. I want a response to love, and I start loving the one I have responded. I expect to come from there, and I don't initiate. I will wait in vain. I'll wait forever, for I must imitate God as a dear child. Well, I am told, because I live, you will live also. That's why I must be dead. I live, therefore you will live also. See the change in tense? Pygmalion and Galatea. She said, the creation of the great artist, Pygmalion. She stayed at marvel. And to whom does he pray to make her alive? He prays to the goddess of love. And asks the goddess to make her animate, that he could embrace her and find affection and find a companion in his creation. And love responds When love responds, Galatea utters the first word is to call her Creator's name. And she calls out Pygmy. Well, the first word I ever uttered and you ever uttered is to call our Creator's name. Before I could say anything or see anything, though I couldn't utter the words, I had to be aware of being before I could become aware of being aware of something. I had first to be aware of being before I could be aware of anything. So although I couldn't use words, I was but a talk. You make it. No matter what, I became aware of my hand moving before my eyes. But I had to be aware of being first before I was aware of a hand or whatever it was moving before my eyes. And so a little child is first aware of being before it becomes aware of anything in this world. So here the first word that the child is really uttering is the name of its creator. Because to be aware of being is saying in the depth of one's being, I am. If I am, then I'm aware. And so I must first be before I can be aware of it. And so as Galatea became aware, she calls her Creator's name, and she calls out with me. Here is simply an aspect of this eternal vision. So, if I must imitate God, and the initiative is with God, and I now love because God first loved me, for the imitating, for the I'm aware of being, I want someone in my world to respond, to appreciate what I do, and to express that appreciation, well then I must start loving. I must start expecting that appreciation and go beyond it and hear it as though it were true. I must listen just as though I heard what I would hear were true. Then comes the response. For the world is but an act. The world is only a response of what you are doing. So when I am not loved, then I am not imitating God as a dear child. I'm expecting it to originate there. It can't originate there. It has to originate in me. So the whole vast world is myself pushed out. And if God is love, then I love Him because He first loved me, not imitating Him. Well, then I see the whole vast world of love. Well, now I want the world to respond in one kind. I once heard my brother Victor, who has made a fortune in this world, a little tiny island called Barbados. You could put 4 Barbados in Los Angeles and still have room. And he's made a considerable fortune. And he's starting behind the 8 ball. And he says, if you don't have it, nobody will believe. Maybe you will. And they say, what is the secret of success? They think because I have money, I love money. I don't have money. Oh yes, I have it. I have millions. I don't love money. I love the use of money. But if I told you what I consider my success and the secret of my success, maybe you will believe it, maybe you won't. Others don't. Because being a successful businessman, they're afraid of him. And they think he's hard. They think he's everything that he's not. And this is what he told me. What do you think he said? He said, my secret is this. I love people. Now they're all afraid of me because I have money. I'm never too busy to see anyone. Regardless of thick with their skin, they can survive to hear anyone coming in. If Churchill came, when Churchill was alive and he came, he was sent to the same seat that my porter would come in. My porter was a seat in my room. And I really love people. And so, he's done it all through community. By giving. He's always giving. Not thinking of himself, but simply giving. But he makes a fortune, and he can't stop it. It pours and pours and pours. And he tells me his secret is because I love you. Now, he doesn't know the Bible as you do. He certainly doesn't know it as I do. But innately, he knew that God is love. And I love because he first loved me. How he got that, I don't know, but he just loves people. And people have to bring in all kinds of information that you can't find in any other way. You find all kinds of deals because people love it, and yet they're afraid of it. Just as man, not knowing the unknown, is afraid of God, who is in the love. If you ever saw the risen Christ, you wonder how could I ever eternally have ever been afraid of God. When there's not a thing in the risen Christ but inward love. Nothing but love. And yet man fears this unseen. You can't see him until he calls you. He hides his face because you went astray and simply serve another God and play the harlot with one who was not God by worshiping some false god. Call it by any name, but it's only God. And if you go back, one day he will not hide his face anymore, he will unveil it. And you will see inward love, he'll embrace you and you're you. And the union is complete and no one can separate. So tonight you take me in my hand and tell you what I've experienced. You start tonight and fall in love with being successful. And success, the state always needs a man to express it. And so a man will express it. They'll come into your world, fall in love with being successful. And then men will come and you'll be successful. Without the effort you think it will take. All these things work almost without effort if you really believe in God. And imitating as a dear child. For I tell you, everything in the world that we have also dear will all pass away. But love will not pass away. Because love is God Himself. Now let us go to the Psalm. Or sing. I think you will find the story that I will tell on Monday a very fascinating story. Based upon the letter that I received, she doesn't know as yet how perfectly it fits in with the visions, my own personal visions, over the past, I would say, 20 years. She may not be here tonight, like Dr. Neville Goddard. And she may not even come on Monday. It doesn't really matter. But what she wrote me this past week, and how perfectly it fits with the vision that I will tell on Monday, is this drama secular or sacred? Are there any questions?
Last week, now you said to seek him out and brood over him. Would you expand on that?
Well, if you took what I said tonight, and not just drop it because it's over, and you told me to go, brood over what you heard, I mean these words. When I quote scriptures, all prophets were inspired by the same Spirit as told us in the Epistle of Peter. So when we read the four Gospels, like quoted tonight in the book of John, he who drinks my blood has eternal life, and I will raise him up at the last day. Well, these are his words, and his word is himself, so brood over them. Brood over everything that he said. His precepts are to be taken literally, and he dwells in you, Bill. Tonight I have explained based on my own experience of what it means to actually drink the blood of God. And the word translated drink means with enjoyment. It's not a repulsion, And you can't conceive of anything more repulsive to the Orthodox Hebrew mind than the taking of blood. For the simple reason they are trained in Orthodoxy that the animal must drain the all blood or life is in the blood. And put blood, but that's what we found. They kill the chicken differently from the heathens slaughter the chicken. And they will smack the board and drain all the blood from the animal. So I get all the blood. Now, raised as I was in a Christian environment, we put blood sausages and, rare roast meat and things of that sort. Not to drain the blood. So it has anything to do with that level. It's something entirely different. When they know what that blood is, or when the Christian knows what that blood is. What Christian would take it that he would even entertain the thought of drinking the blood of Jesus? He wouldn't, would he? I'll take this in remembrance of in the thing of the wine. That's not the blood. That is a symbol, a shadow of what will give the real enjoyment when they see that blood. And it'll absorb every drop. Take no time at all. And you do it freely. You're so thirsty for it. And you absorb the whole thing, you're it. Now is life in you. He who drinks my blood has now eternal life. Now raise him up. And from this generation, you're turned around into regeneration, and you're raised up through the drinking of the blood. So I said, brood over that very thought now, in the hope that in the not distant future, you experience it. And then hope one day will be realized. Have faith in it. That will be realized in the actual experience, but love cannot pass away. Any other questions?
Neville, you have told us that we have to place all of the parts in the deep river of the heart. Otherwise, we couldn't understand what causes these things. Then you tell us that the heart, clean from the heart, is the power of the true religion, and such as other religions. Do you have anything?
But first of all, what man has not departed from the true religion? What man? If you go to the highest level, call it by any name. You say the Pope. If you say the Archbishop of Canterbury, if you spoke the highest in the Presbyterian world, there's not a name of bishops or popes, but they still do have heads in that teaching. Or you go to any great Sanhedrin. They are all departed from the true God because they don't turn within themselves. We see that I am. The fundamental sin is not to believe that I am. Unless you believe that I am He, you die in your sins. And so when they enforce themselves with everything on the outside, for the benefit of a seeming of, then they're departing from the truth. They're not serving the one true God. Called by any name, I don't care how they justify it, they are not serving the one true God. They're playing the part of the harlot. Another word is used in Scripture for the harlot. It's called the sinner. And when he became the friend of the sinner, that was the prostitute, in the sense that you and I understand it. And yet, she was the one who wept. And so filled his feet with water. She could wash it when the Pharisee, who was always on the outside, he washed the outside of the cup, that he did not give him water with which to wash his feet when he, the guest, came to die. Yet she came in, and with her tears she washed the feet. And he did not anoint the head, and she with her little. And he wondered, how can this man be a prophet? If he were a prophet, surely he would know what sort of woman she is. For he tells him she is a sinner, But he also knows what sort of woman. He knew exactly who she was. And he said, if someone owes 500 denarii and someone owes 50, and you forgive both, which shows the greatest gratitude? And he said, well, I presume the one who is forgiven the 500. And the answer was, she has sinned much, so she's forgiven much. And he who was the holding the bell remained, well, in the same state he was before. But that is something far deeper than what I just took, which we'll touch on Monday. You can't stop the flow of tears at a certain level of awakening. Can't do it. You just can't do it. And, well, I can't go into it now, it's a long one. But the harlot, play the part of the harlot, as you're told in the book of Deuteronomy. Your time has come to speak with your fathers. He's speaking now to Moses. In other words, it's a euphemism for death. Time to die now. After you depart and have no visible leader, they'll all now go astray and play the harlot with the strange gods of the land where they go to be among. And they will simply forget my covenant, and in that day I will hide my face. Hide his face from everyone who sees and undergoes. Therefore, the man who is not actually seeing the risen Christ is still serving, but he knows not a false God. When I turn to the one true God, well then he will unveil himself and embrace it. I've returned, having played the harlot, for we all play the harlot. But even to the part of playing that almost sin, which is called in Scripture just the word sin. But it means one who has gone astray sexually with everyone. And he called it a sort of woman. Or he was a friend of the sinner. He was a friend of the tax collector. And they called him a wine bibber and a glutton. That's why if a man is just a man, they can't believe for one book that this whole drama is unfolded within him. For they know it is. And he loves the sinner. Who else will he help? He cannot serve and save the righteous. They have no need of saving. They are so righteous, their own mind inside, they know that because they have money, they go before God, and they say, I have to pay it off. You should. Like a charity for no act. And he said, I do not know. I do not know. The old story is again. I am so grateful that I am not as that sinner. While he asks for forgiveness, the sinner knows nothing. So in the eyes of God, all gifts, all things will be forgiven. If you play the part of the prostitute from now to the end of days, all forgiven. And those who thought themselves so pure, so altogether good, that they even took up a form violent upon themselves, so they could not perform. Who doesn't know? But she went astray and played the part because of what? Excessive passion. Excessive passion. But God is all God. No condemnation whatsoever. Now, so he came among the sinners. And the one who saw him at the end was the one who took part of that candidate, the gospel. He appeared to her first and appeared to her last. She came in unannounced to the banquet and she washed his feet with her tears. So when they complained, no one saw the man, saw the woman she washed my feet. didn't leave me any more than 1 minute. He said, "Not customer." He thought he was an ordinary man and not using words. Time to give me water. He gave it and he watched it. But I feel that the simple fact that we have